Hit me with episode 234.
With clever memes, with funny tweet, I'll never leave my office seat. Those who think they know what's right, listen on Sundays to NetHeads, all right?
You've got to throw some cold water on the situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now. So when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek, giving you the info you need to achieve mega nerd status. NetHeads.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
You know, the people haven't really noticed. We've implemented something here.
Yes.
And that's that you announce the episode number.
Yes.
And then from there, we go into the intro, which means anyone listening to the show, whether it's via podcast or live at smodcast.com or at netheadsonair.com or on YouTube at the NetHeads On Air channel.
Yes.
We are diversified, aren't we now? We're taking ourselves way bigger than we really are.
Oh my God. And on top of that too, all I'm going to say is there's a nasty rumor. We're not going to dive into it anymore. That involves Spotify. That's all.
That's all you're saying. That's all you're saying.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that is kind of rude. I'm
just going to throw this out there.
We dropped.
It's going to be the greatest.
We dropped some. Oh, okay. I see what you're doing now. I was in such a good mood.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But it's going to be the most amazing podcast. It's going to be bigly. We're going to bigly this podcast. Massive. So interesting thing though. Anyway, what I was saying is they're always guaranteed you when they hear that at the opening now.
Yes.
But that's almost like a teaser too, because not a teaser, but it's a spoiler, because obviously if I'm the guy reading the numbers at the beginning, they know it's no Trent, which means pretty much I think 90% of listenership would drop at that point.
maybe we just need to start auto-tuning it so they don't really know who it is.
Or we just drop in the Apple computer speak.
Yes. Yep.
Which, by the way, I think that was the height of technology that also went into the spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I think that's what that was. Or I didn't even use Apple. I just straight up went to one of those websites
text to voice.
Yeah.
Some of the best ones are just like AT&T and like Sprint. They have free type in and you can download the MP3.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, now I don't need to worry about having a voice. Awesome, this is good. Anyway, but we're both here, thankfully. It is kind of funny though. We at the end of the last episode, we kind of teased what really is some pretty big news for a hokey little podcast like ours. And that's merely that because of the umbrella that we are currently graced enough to fall under, it's. Actually, you know what? I really shouldn't say anything else at this point.
Yeah,
but
we're
just saying that the term NetHeads and Spotify, those two unique terms, may come together in a way that they haven't before. And nothing is signed, nobody's agreed on. So I really shouldn't say much else.
Yeah, and that's all we're saying. There's a thing. That's some stuff.
There's news it's bigly for us, but nobody else cares.
Yeah, and that's fine.
But the topic has come up about Spotify around several podcasts you may be familiar with if you listen to NetHeads. So slowly but surely the web transcends and goes out there and we're just clinging to coattails, folks. That's what we do here on NetHeads. You can too.
Yeah.
If you want to take part in the program, we always encourage it, whether it's while we're live or after the fact. You can do it so easily via Twitter. Trent, what is that complex and unique methodology?
Oh my gosh, dude. Well, here's the thing. It's so simple because Twitter is a thing that we use and I know a lot of other people use it, but we use it to talk to the people who are listening, not unlike at TKAYTT, that's Thomas Kate, and also Ryan Connolly at Carvals, Kaarval, using the hashtag NetHeads. Also, Ryan says he's listening to yet another hashtag Smeltdown. I don't think so. We have had smeltdowns in the past. I mean,
no, man, that was
major smeltdowns.
That was
Nothing is fucked here, dude.
That was just me being kooky with the buttons. That's all. I hit the wrong thing once, and then I went to go hit the right thing, and instead I hit two. Look, it's very. I want you to understand the logic. There's this program that I use, and it basically turns your keyboard into a sound effects machine. Okay, and they're all loaded into memory. So once it loads, you're generally good to go. And so in quite a logical fashion, I have it structured like this. The number 1 is with clever meme.
Yeah, that's number 1. That's it.
Because that starts it off.
Absolutely.
Now, technically, I should also take H, which is
hit me,
and put that in front of 1 as maybe the tilde other mark key. And I could have that be the hit me.
Yeah. You know, which, you know what, didn't love her in Doctor Strange, but that's fine. We can get to that later.
Oh, Tilde Swinton.
Yeah, Tilde Swinton.
Tilde Swinton. You know that Tilde Swinton was on with the cinnamon Cumberbatch, whatever his name was. You know what? I gotta say too, one of the worst jokes I've done on Twitter was because of Doctor Strange's opening weekend. I had Crab Benedict at an airport, which, by the way,
wait, that's probably a thing though, right?
Oh yeah, it's eggs Benedict, but it's with a crab patty.
Crab. Oh, that actually sounds kind of good.
And I said that it would be my Benedict Crabber batch because I was playing off a Cumberbatch, but and the breakfast was Doctor Strange. Look, it doesn't matter. The whole point that I really want to take away from that is that if it doesn't sound like a good idea to eat crab at an airport restaurant, I can pretty much confirm that one's pretty much on spot.
Especially if it's like, I don't know, in like Kansas.
Well, this was in my defense, this was in San Francisco.
Okay,
so.
now I was gonna say, if you're in like Boston or San Francisco, I feel like you would be okay. No, because I'll tell you what, dude, some of the best fucking sourdough I've ever had is in the San Francisco airport.
Yeah, well, that's because they get it local, you know, and we got the salt water. And
that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
There are some bakeries actually, and this is one of those things when you get into the mechanics of baking, because that's what you're looking for on your tech podcast.
Well, hey, it's all science, man.
At smodcast.com. Anyway, the interesting thing in the mechanics of baking, especially when it comes to sourdough, is apparently you establish a starter, right? So you mix these ingredients, and then yeast and sugars and all these things, and more than likely bacteria. They all do their stuff, and then what you now have something that you can cut into something else and as a starter, and then when you get that one going, you can take a piece off of it, and actually I think this is the way Invasion of the Body Snatchers works as well.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is.
But the takeaway from this is there are some bakeries in the San Francisco area that have had their starters for over 100 years, and it sounds horribly disgusting.
Dude, my mom's sourdough pancake start is over 165 years old. It came over with the Mormon pioneers when they
holy shit. Why have you hold on. First of all, did you just say sourdough pancake?
Oh my God, dude. Yes. Yeah, but it's very similar to like a sourdough bread start. But you after you pull the start out, you change it in. But yeah, sourdough pancakes, they're a lot thinner, not unlike sourdough bread, which is a lot thinner than regular leaven bread.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the sourdough pancake start that my mom has is like at least 150 something years old. Started out in Illinois and then made its way across the plains to Utah and then to Wyoming.
Holy, that That is that that's one of those things that makes you feel good about America again. It's just
Totally,
like,
dude. Absolutely. That's
you know,
cool.
the brazen pioneering, as we stole the
Totally.
land from the indigenous
Yeah,
people.
absolutely. As we seceded from the United States so we could go fuck as many wives as we wanted to have and kill all the natives that were there so that we could do it.
Well,
By hell,
okay.
we brought our sourdough with us.
I wasn't going for the Utah focus, Trent, but I'm sure that'll make for interesting conversations around the family dinner table later.
It does. It does.
So now that you can take part, welcome everybody. And believe it or not, we do have some tech stuff to talk about, but this is one of those times where once again on a Sunday, some things are happening. And
Yeah,
I do
dude.
kind of want to acknowledge it. There's been this thing, and by the way, part of the reason why I love radio as a format is because when done properly, speaking of which, am I even talking into my microphone right?
Yeah, I think so.
When done properly, radio not only informs you, but it also allows you to enter in and catch up by doing an occasional reset, like every 5 or 7 minutes when you're on with the guest. Remind the audience who you're talking to and what you're talking about. We could do the same thing here. If somebody were to join in late, we could always remind them you're listening to NetHeads on smodcast.com. I'm Will.
I'm Trent.
And one of the things we're doing is we're looking at the current goings on in the news, and it appears that this thing that's been going on in North Dakota,
yeah, dude.
they're referring to it just as DAPL wherever you see it. It's the Dakota something pipeline.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of brouhaha about it because part of the land that's being used is going through the water source for an Indian reservation. By the way, my whole point about bringing up the format of radio, all of this is speculation because I see all this information about protests and I see all this information about what the sheriff has been doing in the area and like extreme countermeasures and the like. But what's the root core problem? Half the time, the only thing you hear is that it's about clean drinking water. Folks, we're Americans. Our attention span is about yay long, and I'm a guy, so I'm exaggerating that length.
Yeah. Fold it over.
Yeah, God willing. So, all that said, Trent, I, in a typical uninformed American, I have no idea what the actual pipeline itself is, what the intent of it is, why it's going through Indian or through Native American land or the water source, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, yeah.
But there's been a big brouhaha about it, and apparently now they're saying the pipeline's not going to continue. At least that's what I'm seeing on Twitter. And hey, maybe this is one of those early moment things where somebody could be getting it all wrong. But
yeah, I know. I believe today was the final evacuation day before they were just going to start arresting everyone there. They'd kind of given them a final ultimatum. I haven't followed it that much. Because I haven't felt too informed or informed enough to really take a stance.
Okay, hold on. Let's treat Trent. If I may go to the transcript, please.
Do not wait for the translation.
This is the statement from Standing Rock Sioux Tribe.
Okay.
Standing Rock Sioux Tribe statement on U.S. Army Corps of Engineers decision to not grant easement. The Department of the Army will not approve an easement that will allow the proposed Dakota Access Pipeline to cross under Lake, I won't pronounce it right, but we'll just say Owe. Okay. The following statement was released by Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Chairman Dave Archambault II.
Okay.
Today, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers announced that it will not be granting the easement to cross Lake Owe for the proposed Dakota Access Pipeline. Instead, the Corps will be undertaking an environmental impact statement to look at possible alternative routes. We wholeheartedly support the decision of the administration and commend the utmost gratitude and courage it took on the part of President Obama, the Army Corps, the Department of Justice, and the Department of the Interior to take steps to correct the course of history and to do the right thing. Well, I think that's enough read by us right here on a tech podcast, but I mean, that's kind of, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, rarely do you see anything, come, at least I feel in our day and time, as the result of on the ground protesting, and that's this. I mean, let's be honest. This is the direct result of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a thing. I know. I think the first time I heard about it is when Shailene Woodley, I think is her name. She was in the, I think, as Kevin described him, the Ent movies. The Insurgent.
Oh yeah.
Whatever the other ones are. So I remember hearing her being arrested at a protest in regards to it. Still, at the time, nobody bothering to explain to me what it was. And it's just been escalating since then. I mean, like, I think over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, we were seeing things about them using like water cannons in freezing temperatures.
In 20-degree weather, which is like pretty much instant hypothermia.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell?
That's messed up, dude.
Yeah, and then that's one of those things that where unfortunately I know I'm ill-informed, and the times that I did attempt to go out and gain some insider information, I wasn't able to get it.
Yeah,
so
and the way I understood it was they weren't going over any of the Dakota tribes' land, but they were going to go put pipe through a lake that was a water source for them. And
let's make no mistake, this pipe that they're putting in, this pipeline,
will have crude oil running through it.
Yeah, that's its purpose. It's
like dirty crude oil from the tundra of Canada.
Yeah, so this is
coming to the U.S. to be refined and then shipped out.
Exactly. This is an oil delivery system, and just in the same way, if a drilling structure offshore had an issue, that would they had actually sometime in the last
2 years ago. Yeah, I mean, horrific. Probably still spewing oil for all we know.
Yeah.
But dude, there's also some news kind of relevant to your neck of the woods. Did you hear about this warehouse fire in Oakland last night?
Oh yes, yes I did, and I again. I have no excuse, folks. I live in my own world, and I really, other than what I have just simply glanced at over Twitter, I haven't been kept up to date. But I know that there was a horrible warehouse fire, and it was an art collective called Ghost Ship or something that it was referred to as.
Yeah.
I don't know the story of who the people were or why they were in there.
Yeah, NPR covered it and briefly just kind of said that like the fire broke out during kind of like, it sounded like a rave going on at the night, and there were a lot of people who were actually living there, which they said illegally. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming you just had a lot of people living in this space, and and the fire went up, and yeah. Anyway, I did see that Ash Williams posted on his Facebook, one of our friends of the program, at Ash_Williams456, that he was okay. So that's good. You know how Facebook has that thing where something bad happens in your area.
I got you.
Whether you're safe or well, I've only seen people post that they're safe. I guess if you don't see the not safe part, you know why.
Trent, as stupid as this sounds, I'm running into the warehouse fire just so we can test out this feature and see the way that it works.
I want to be a superhero. I need to get my powers somehow.
The fear and adrenaline should kick in.
It should kick in, and with these vintage art paints that are melting, I'm sure they will infuse something in my system.
Well, not to mention, how exactly does Facebook? How are they able to determine that I'm okay? Like, just because my geo settings show that I'm nowhere near it?
It pops up and gives you the option, based on your location. Would you like to let people know you are okay?
Oh, okay, good.
In this instance or whatever, something like that. And then it just automates and says Trent Hunsaker is okay.
And that makes sense because there are things that happen in the Bay Area that I'll hear about on the local news, and I'll instantly wonder, oh wow, I wonder if such and such was caught in that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, definitely.
Like there was one time I probably talked about it at the time that it happened too, but there was one time where I think there was national coverage about a fire / brake dust incident on BART going through the Caldecott Tunnel.
Are you serious?
And I was actually in one of those trains.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I remember this. Yeah.
So that would have been one of those rare circumstances that
Sure.
if anybody actually did know me and were interested, like they would know I was in the thick of it. So obviously I would not exercise that option at that time. But that is definitely one of those things where I guess the only option they're giving really is to you to let everyone know that you are okay. I mean, what's the alternative? It's like, no, I'm fucked. Click. Here you go.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
But you know, but the people have already got me on mute if I'm doing that because clearly they're already Facebook. They're Facebook.
Like, oh,
I'm a Facebook drama whore.
Already.
You know what I mean?
Ash Williams reporting that his home is only 15 blocks, so that's like just a little over a mile and a half from the fire.
Oh wow. Oof, man, boy, this is a
last I'd heard there were some like 25 people that had been confirmed dead.
Yeah, this is an uplifting start to it.
But I'll tell you what, Christmas season is here. I'm feeling gay and queer.
Oh my gosh. What is that? You sound like John. Is it Johnny Ralphio?
Dude, you know what?
John Ralphio?
I would love to be John Ralphio. I feel like he's got a pretty good life. You know?
I think so.
You know? His dad just wants to give him money because he knows he's a fuck up and there's nothing he can do for him. Like that sounds like a pretty good life. Yeah.
Yeah. Aside from the when near the end of the season run, they're faking their own deaths to get the insurance money.
For insurance money, yeah, of course. Yeah,
sorry, but that was even that was also a nice John Ralphio-esque, just straight up segue from horrific, or in his case, it's usually from okay to horrific, and you kind of did the inverse.
Have him sliding in from the side with a scarf around his neck.
Yeah, exactly. For those of you that don't know who we're talking about, please go watch Parks and Rec on Netflix.
Stop what you're doing. Go binge the whole goddamn thing. It's glorious. Created by cousin Mose from The Office.
What do you know?
Dwight's cousin Mose was the guy that actually created Parks and Rec.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, dude.
That is so well. That would explain why Mose on screen was always so awkward.
Yep,
you know, like
totally.
This is mostly a person that's not used to being in front of the camera.
Just kind of looks around, runs off.
And you know, though, you have to admit, when Parks and Rec finally found itself, because in the beginning it was kind of like, all right, well, it's The Office.
Part of the second season, yeah.
And then when it finally made that transition to realize, no, we're not The Office, and this is what our world is like.
Yeah. When I think that the defining factor was when, and I don't know if it was showrunner direction or if it was character development or what happened, but when we saw the transition from female Michael Scott to Amy Poehler coming out with defining who this character really is and what she meant, that's the rest of the show kind of followed that lead, I feel, and allowed everyone else to kind of break out of archetypes and become their own characters. Yeah,
I think so, definitely. I mean, especially the more absurd turns that some of the characters took, like what's his name? God, I can't even remember the names anymore. I need to watch them so much more. Tom Haverford.
Aziz Ansari's character. Yep.
Yeah,
Tom
Haverford.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep. Well, and the development of Ron Swanson too, which could have been like kind of this background throwaway character for a long time, but god damn, if he's not the most endearing man's man I've ever met.
Dude, I am not kidding. And again, apologize for saying dude. Also, I understand. I have heard it. I've heard you all speak, and I understand that I am on quote unquote case and point probation. I understand that. Thank you.
For what?
If you ever do, that's a nice little informative thing. The nice awkward moment between co-hosts on air to know that Trent really hasn't listened back to the last episode.
Oh, I've been sick all week.
My wife said case in point. I'm like, what? So case in point. I'm like, what are you doing? And they said, hey, you listened to your own show? And I'm like, no. So really, there has to be a bell, apparently, should I say that, and an increment counter needs to keep gaining. little insight to the behind the scenes that sometimes happens. And also, by the way, before you die, there was also the point where it was also I actually heard about that moments before my wife did that because somebody else had commented on the YouTube video.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's like it was actually a thing. I mean, not like a bad thing. I just thought it was funny because I wasn't even aware of it at the point, which just goes to show how little I really am aware of anything, I guess.
Right? Yeah.
But the other day, I got lost down a very brief rabbit hole where I was just watching Ron Swanson videos on YouTube for probably about 15 minutes.
Yep.
I think it got started with a compilation of Ron Swanson on government.
Oh no.
Because as we all know, he's even though he actually works within government, he's actually an anarchist, and
for sure, dude.
He does not. He wants to attempt to corrupt government from within to exploit it to demonstrate to itself how wrong it is.
Yeah.
And I just got lost down that because then it went from there to Ron Swanson on food. To Ron Swanson on relationships, and then I'm just like, I gotta pull the ripcord. This is never gonna end.
Yeah, you'll. I mean, and I'm sure someone's done it already, but like a theology book of Ron Swansonisms would be beautiful. Well, shit, no, that it has been written, and it's called "Paddle Your Own Canoe" by Nick Offerman.
There you go. By the way,
what am I talking about?
By the way, also, I have to remind you all that if you can still go out there and find it, I highly recommend it. Instead of running a Yule log this season, or anything to put yourself in the Christmas spirit, I literally the sound effects machine for this show during the week, ever since the day after Thanksgiving, it merely runs a Yule log. Which consists of it's kind of a medium shot on a den. There's a fire going to the left, to the right of frame, sitting within a comfortable, nice padded chair, but with good, strong oak wood and a table beside him. It is nothing more.
Good leather wingback chair. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's nothing but Nick Offerman sipping scotch or whiskey for hours.
Yeah, just with the fire going. Nothing else going on.
I just put that on a loop. And the funny thing is, it looked like he pretty much said, all right, so this is a great tie-in. I'm glad I'm getting paid for this, guys. Glad we can help advertise your brand of alcohol. But I just want to be clear. I'm going to be sitting in a chair, and we're just going to film me sitting there drinking for more than an hour. Okay, great. I just want you to know I'm going to show up sauced already because I think that's the only way I'll be able to numb the pain enough to get through this. And he just has that warm glow in his eyes already on stage, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's very relaxing, sometimes a little awkward, like if I come in the room right after a shower and I'm getting dressed. Don't ask why I'm getting dressed in front of computer monitors. Yeah. This really took a weird turn. Christmas is here, Trent.
It is, Will.
It's the Christmas season. I've already initiated some of my gift purchasing power. I've yet to step into a physical store, but I have been utilizing the Amazon. I've been talking to the Echo, asking, Alexa, what are your deals? And then she tells me.
Wait.
What?
Why do they do the double branding? Why can't you just talk to the Echo?
Why? Because the Echo is the device, but Alexa, what are your deals? Sorry.
I just wish I could be like, hey, phone, and then it would just talk back to me. I don't want to humanize it. Then I run into conundrums like the movie Her.
Yeah. Or if you've been
and outside of Japan, a lot of that stuff is frowned upon.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that's the weird thing, everywhere else on the globe, Her was a disturbing tale of obsession, and in China they just viewed it as a love story. I hear.
Oh, isn't this beautiful?
Can we say that?
If only there was a blow up doll to go with it.
Only. So I don't know, but the Alexa thing that's the brain that the AI that portion that they can market to other things like somebody like Pebble, Trent. They were coming out with their new the Pebble. It wasn't a Pebble Echo, but it was just going to be a little square device that would be powered by Alexa, and you would be able to use it without your phone to do things you may do, like get information or track your run or that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're familiar with Pebble, Trent. They're
A little bit.
yeah, they were like one of the first record-breaking Kickstarters for a smartwatch that would integrate with your phone. It would display your text messages. You could control your music. Then their next model, the like with the time, they integrated the ability to actually do voice commands, and they use an e-paper is what it's called. So
not unlike the Kindle.
exactly. So thereby they get to at least have some type of display, and then with the time they switch to a color version of that, and but they would still get long battery life. Very basic device. The best part is that you only have to charge it like every 5 to 7 days compared to other smart watches.
Yeah.
And I've loved them. Now, for those of you that have been listening to it,
Well, and I was going to say, you were an early adopter. You did the Kickstarter, right?
yes. Now, I didn't do the first
Yeah, for the Pebble.
Kickstarter, but I did do the second one. I did for the
Second
Pebble
one.
Time.
Yeah.
Actually, it was our former co-host Americo who he kickstarted the original. He was all in from the get-go.
Yeah. From the Geico Gecko?
Yes, him too. So the and for me, I in case you guys have been tracking this nutty tech journey, so I was a very early adopter of the iPhone. Like I was one of those people where you're like, oh, of course, no, not even of course he's got it. It's like I can't believe that idiot bought the first iPhone. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Everyone else in the world using good tech savvy logic. I can't believe he bought the first iPhone, which we all felt that way after I think they came out with the, there was one model they immediately came out with, and it was going to be a subsidized cost, and they had made us pay full price
for it.
There was a whole mess. I mean, like, obviously Apple, you know how I would equate it, Trent? I think Apple is like the EverQuest of tech companies.
Yeah.
You know, you like it and you go along with it, even though it blatantly doesn't like you. This was in the process that was made for the gamer.
Yeah.
You really want to hate the game, and the game makes its point that it kind of has disdain for you as well.
It could really, it would actually prefer if you didn't play it.
Yeah, pretty much, kind of in some ways.
Just leave it alone.
Eventually that pans out. So I was an early iPhone user, and I think I got up to when they were in the 5s, and then I got a gift dropped into my lap called Google Glass.
Ooh-wee.
Which, by the way, I still have my Glass. I still do enjoy it when I use it, but we'll get there. Bear with me. I got the Google Glass, and at that point, when I found out that I had it, the one thing I thought is it's limited on an iPhone. Let me just try an Android phone, right?
Yeah.
I made the switch. And, you know, I saw the strengths and weaknesses on both sides. So first I had the Google Glass, and that worked out great. Then they stopped supporting Google Glass around the same time I got a Pebble. And then I was wearing the Pebble, and I was getting most of my notifications there. And also, lo and behold, sometimes there would be software conflicts between the Pebble and the Glass running at the same time.
Yeah.
So the one that was easier to use is the one I defaulted to, which was back down to the Pebble. You know, that began the phase out of Google Glass from my life. Well, now it turns out there is a rumor that dropped on the 30th of November that Pebble may be getting bought by Fitbit. And Fitbit has no interest in continuing the brand. They just want the IP and the technology. So my watch, I mean, there was even a Kickstarter, I think, for the Pebble Time 2, which had a bigger display, and it would still pull 4 to 5 days of electricity. Those haven't been fulfilled. We haven't heard anything from the company because logically, if they are getting bought up, there's probably restrictions about talking about this until the deal's final. So now my watch is getting phased out. And my problem now is I am a person that likes having working wearable technology. I like being able to get notices and in some cases respond. Most cases respond.
Well, especially when you're essentially on call 24/7. That's something that is important, so that if you need to pop into a Best Buy or an Apple store, you can get online and do something quickly. You know what I mean? As far as engineering goes.
It's nice to know you've been paying attention along the route. Yes, there was a time where Smodco Internet Radio, it was a live Smodcast, and I ducked into an Apple store and used one of their computers to make sure I could remote into the computer here, so that way Kevin could connect to it and it would broadcast out or some nonsense.
Like in my mind, the only thing I can think of is that fucking beautiful scene in Captain America
Winter Soldier,
dude. Oh my god. Oh,
yeah.
with the guy in the Apple store who like wants to like be his buddy, but they're like, just fucking get away from us, man. He's like, but come on, like and you can tell he just like wants to go out for beers afterward because this guy's so rad and he's got this hot chick and we can be pals.
Yeah, except in my case, there was no sexiness going on, and nobody was approaching anyone,
Yeah. There's a quick side note. There's a podcast on Earwolf called I Was There Too, and basically they try to pull in actors who had very small roles in films and then talk to them about what it was like. They started out with like Paul F. Tompkins talking about what it was like to be in one scene with Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. Well, they brought in the guy that was the Apple Store actor.
Oh, nice.
For that movie. Oh, and it's so like the whole background and like what he put into the character and how he tried to play it off and everything. It made that scene like 10 times funnier for me every time I watch it now, and having that kind of inside story to it all.
Was he intentionally trying to be sexually androgynous?
Well, so in it, he talks about how he said he had a non-sexual, well, he didn't know if it was sexual or not, but he definitely had a crush on Chris Evans, on Steve Rogers in it, and so he tried to portray that like he just had to be next to him and he was just drawn to him, like my god, this man is so beautiful.
Oh, but I loved the attempt to connect with him. It's like,
totally.
I've got those same frames.
Yep, yeah, and they're like trying so like he's just like, I need his attention.
Oh, weren't we talking about something serious like the Dakota Access Pipeline?
No,
and now we're
talking about the Pebble. How you've got to get your upgradable tech.
Well, and yes, that's a problem, Trent. But at the same time, now I'm at a decision: where do I explore other Android functional, or do I switch back to the communication tool that everyone else in my life is on?
Right. I hear this all the time. A coworker of mine has had iPhone since the beginning. Really wanted to switch over to Android. He's the one that actually introduced me to the OnePlus company in China that I think is for the money the best cell phone maker out there right now. But he wanted to make the switch, but his wife, his parents, his brothers, sisters, nephews, everyone are all sharing iCloud albums. And that's how the only way he can share photos with everyone else. So he just went with the Apple again, because that's what everyone in his circle is using.
See how freely we have given away our our convenience.
Isn't that so crazy?
And our data, so that we then allow them to rope us into and trap us within their structure.
Yep. It's like it is so brilliant on their part to make something that is so flawless as far as use goes, that grandma can use it, grandpa can use it, mom and dad can use it, but then that ties in someone else who isn't roped into that ease of technology. Because of them.
Now I'm the outlier that everyone looks at weird.
Right, like, oh, soon you know.
Well, and but then again, once you're even stuck within it, or those of us that were connecting with it, we get frustrated by it. Like sometimes I love that the rather once again, let's use the term outlier lifestyle we get to live on smodcast.com. I've been able to get, not really in contact with, but I've had to have I can't talk. I've been able to have some fun conversations with Jeremy Simser, and the name may not be familiar, but if you follow Jeremy Simser on Twitter, this is the guy that does the majority of the storyboarding for like The Flash and Supergirl.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So this is the guy that basically pre-visualizes everything. Because they build, for those that don't know what storyboards are, they are literal drawings that are made to represent the heart or core of the action that's being represented in that bit of direction or dialogue.
Yeah, and every time there's a cut, it's usually one storyboard.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been able to get into some fun conversations with him, and as such, followed him on Twitter. And just the other day, he said, "Apple, why must you change the user interface for iTunes every time I just get comfortable with it?"
God, dude.
And that's the thing lately, and Microsoft has been the same way in just kind of forcing us into their new vision, which, look, there's nothing wrong with change. We have to adapt, but that does mean that at a certain point, you are going to start capping your audience, because like I myself can admit that it being mid 45, mid 40s, fuck, being 45, I do have a lower tolerance for fucking with shit now.
Oh, well, it's not just you, it's anyone that has shit to get done. Like, I don't have time to deal with that shit.
Yeah, why am I having to Google how to properly use Microsoft Office? I didn't used to have these issues,
dude. Well, and the iTunes is the killer. They've had 10 years, 12 years now that this has been around, and they still can't fucking get it right. It is, and across the board, I don't care if you're an avid user or you're my mom, no one knows how to accurately use and effectively use this program.
Dude, yeah, okay, once again, I guess we need a bell for dude. No, I fully support you on this, because there was a while that iTunes, and this, correct me if I am wrong, but there was, in the early days of iTunes, it was rock solid. They came up with a decent user interface.
I agree. No, yep, you're right. Yes, this is true.
I will admit that on the PC side, it was a resource whore that would just obliterate,
gobble everything. Yep.
But at the same time, it was, and then at the moment where they started to break with the current aesthetic and they went for more of the whitewashing, as I would call it.
Yeah.
At that point, things started getting more obscure, and that's also where they tried to introduce for a little while their music social media service. They had wanted to integrate the iTunes store, and podcasts were in the store now instead of just being podcasts, and everything just started. And literally the other day, I sat down with my wife to try and do something with one of our iOS devices, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, wait a minute. Well, try clicking over here." Okay, no, wait, no. Maybe over here. Does it give you an option on that tab? I shouldn't be asking these questions.
Oh, dude, I know.
It used to be you plugged in a goddamn iPhone. It came up in iTunes right there on the left-hand side. You saw the fucking iPhone. You clicked on the iPhone, and you could do shit to the iPhone.
Yep.
Straightforward. Now it's like, oh, no, wait, it looks like I'm in the store right now. This isn't where I need to be. Wait, how do I pull down to get devices? These are, if I'm asking these questions, the design is shitty. That's my point.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow, Will's angry about Apple.
Oh, dude, it is so true, though. It is so true. And I don't know. It's, we talk about it a lot, but I haven't seen, and I'm not saying Steve Jobs made all the products at Apple. We know he didn't, but he inspired a not settling mentality, I guess would be the idea, to continually innovate new rather than rest on what's already been done. And we just haven't seen any great innovation since.
Yeah, pretty much. And but the other thing too about sticking with my current phone, I think I've actually, and this is sad because I think we're only talking about a little over a year, but the Nexus 6P I have, which is this, like, it's got a really big screen and all that ridiculous shit, but it's also the phone that allows me to work on the Google Fi, Google Fi, which now that I work at home, Trent,
oh my gosh,
my cell phone, it's $25 for access.
Yeah.
And then based on my data usage, like, in some points, they've actually credited me below that because, like, 2 times in a row, I wasn't using all of my data because it's mostly data-based.
Yeah.
So, because I'm always on Wi-Fi now. and I do a lot of my calling through my computer and all that shit. So, I could stay economical and stay with my phone, but at the same time, I tend to have battery fights with it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that thing is like, oh shit, it didn't charge overnight and it's going to die in 5 minutes, or it goes from a 15% warning to dead. That's my favorite. So I may be hitting the threshold for what I call the intent of life that the products are built with now. They don't have to make something where the battery will last greater than 2 years, because market studies say that 95% of our audience will do a phone upgrade within that time.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And like I'm hitting, this has been a very heavily used phone, so it's natural to assume that I've potentially already reached my recharge limits on it, and now I'm starting to hit that back end of the plateau, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so crazy because batteries are such a finicky yet important thing that is defining tech at this point, to the where you're trying to make them sizes they should never be to fit in the researched perfect size of a phone, to where they just ignite.
Yeah, they
just start on fire. It's fine.
It used to be. Do you remember the sweet and innocent world where we lived in, where it used to be that stories of cell phone fires and explosions were mostly proven false?
Yes, they were all false.
Instead of affecting a major product line,
Yes.
so much to the point that on all of my recent flights, the airlines specify that the FAA has forbidden the travel of the Samsung Galaxy
Are
7.
you serious?
Yes, dude, it is announced. And
My God, that is awesome.
I think Samsung also was setting up in major international airports, at least. They were setting up exchange stations as well. So if you found yourself at the airport with a Samsung Galaxy 7, I don't know, because
they could get you set up for, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, you mistakenly bought a truckload of them from a guy named Vinny.
I got this, you just bought off the back of a truck. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Got a great deal on this whole pallet of phones.
You getting gas? Come over here.
Yeah,
my phone.
My favorites were the guys that would be in unmarked vans and they're like, yeah, hey, look, man, no, we got this equipment for an install. And the thing is, if we go back to it, it just gets returned, or we can sell it to you for a heck of a deal.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Like that's your business strategy. You're going to randomly drive around the area where it always happened in an electronics parking lot, mind you.
Yeah.
I mean, they at least got that part of the market study right. But, I'm like, how many people actually did this? How many people got back and bought a box of rocks? I don't know. Anyway, the whole point is the Samsung Galaxy 7 does go boom. And yeah, they do. You can't. And this is my favorite part. If somehow you wound up still on a plane with one, then you have to have it permanently shut down, and it must be out and be seen at all times by the flight staff. Like the powered down phone is going to start giving you sketchy looks before it blows all of a sudden. What is the point of this? No, I'm sorry. Don't you actually have a concrete box that's lined with lead that we can just put this in and crank it down in the event? Because I don't know, we're in a pressurized environment, ma'am. I'm just thinking. Yeah,
the only way they would be more judicious on it would be, if it were, dressed in Middle Eastern attire and had a long beard.
Yeah, exactly. Then they would notice it more. I tell you what. So yeah, I'm in a personal quandary about what to do, and my whole family, of course. The moment I even introduced this thought, they're all excited.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Just like any other cult,
Upgrades,
they want you to join.
Yep.
They want you to join.
Yep. Any cult, any tribe.
But it makes sense though, because, and I hate to say this, but I do operate a side business other than my 9 to 5, and it's a rather important client who I do make it a point to be aware when they make a request. And as such, I do like the thought, because with that other particular fruit-based platform, you do get the ability to just receive messages literally everywhere. So whereas right now there are times that I do get a communication on my phone, and there are times that the OS X device to my left here will get the message. So that that creates a moment where I'm sure there's a certain lag time, and then he goes, this must be on his computer, and then has to go to another window and try and send a message again or whatever.
You know what? I'll tell you what, and maybe it's worth looking into. Providers have apps for your desktops and that are great for texting now. I've recently within the past month or so started using the Verizon messaging app. Basically just download it, and then it allows you to get all your texts on your computer, and they're almost like as soon as it hits my phone, it's ringing on, or it's notifying me on the computer at the exact same time. I have been blown away at the integration and how good it is. Because I've tried stuff like this in the past. Even the Google Voice stuff has not been as dialed in as this Verizon messaging software. So maybe that's something worth looking into. I don't know.
Well, now there's that awkward moment where I have to ask, why aren't you answering my text messages then?
I've been sick for a week, man.
I mean, oh, okay. I see.
Oh my God.
Not so sick that you can notice every single one of these other text messages you're clearly getting on the app. But okay, you know what? I'll let it, like Disney's Frozen, Trent. I'll just let it go. I've
never seen that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait, honestly, are you serious? You're in a world. Look, Trent. I have a wife that enjoys drinking milk. I have a teenage daughter that enjoys drinking milk. I have a toddler who's always drinking milk. Sure,
and that's good parenting.
And the thing about, of course, because you don't just survive, you will thrive on whole milk.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, my whole point is, if I haven't said it on here before, I live in a very weird and interesting place in life now. I literally have no fear of expiration dates. I don't have to qualify the carton of milk or the gallon of milk I'm buying before I buy it. It doesn't matter. It could be expiring tomorrow. Fuck all, doesn't matter. That milk's yeah, exactly. This is the world I live in. And what you're telling me is that you have your own type of world where you get to live worry free in, as it were.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I was so excited the other day. I was driving home and on the freeway there I saw it was DuckTales playing in someone's van. And I was so excited because I actually knew what that one was. And all the other ones, I have no fucking clue what the kids are watching.
Trent lives in
oh my God.
Trent lives in a world.
Louie. That's Mrs. Bixby. Oh my God, this is DuckTales.
Trent lives in a world where he doesn't have to be. He doesn't even really know what an Olaf is. I mean, you live in a frozen free world. That's that's actually kind of nice. It's nice to know that a guy in his early 30s without kids hasn't seen them. It's nice to know that that type of person still gets to exist in this world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what?
You haven't been peripherally drawn in by nieces and nephews either. You're like, no, that's okay. I got comic books. You guys go use grandma and grandpa's
and
TV.
For just out of like, my probation, it's again probably best that I'm not familiar with these characters as to what it might lead into. Where I break my 200 feet from an elementary school,
or a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, come on, we all know they won't let just anyone in there.
It is reassuring though that when you're going to leave and they do match you with the Dayglow tattoo that they've also attached. You only see it under the black light. Like, this one's with that one. Just once I want to try and come in and get stamped with one on the opposite hand, just to fuck with them, just a little bit. Just to see what they do. And they're like, I'm kidding. See, I got it over here. But then they got to wonder, why is this guy got two stamps?
You're like, wait a second. Did he come in yesterday? What's going on?
Not to mention, I've got to know, what is the pimple-faced 17-year-old really going to do if I continue down this path of leaving?
Oh, okay.
It's not like there's it's not like
I gotta call my manager.
It's not like they're going to flip a switch and all of a sudden a man trap falls down before the doors.
His cage just drops down on top of you.
Trapped in between some stranger's kid.
One of the robots from the stage comes down running after you.
Transforms from the T-1000. I got Robert Patrick on my ass. I don't know what happened.
Oh my God.
But no, that's interesting to know. But it's reassuring, and it's good to know that, like I said, you're able to map your own path in life, and you haven't been, because you've got nieces and nephews too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if there's anything people can hopefully get out of today's show, it's like what you like.
Exactly. Until next time, folks. My name is Will,
And I'm Trent.
and you've been loosely listening to an episode of NetHeads.
It's smodcast.com.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker.
Signing off. I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it.
NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
See, I remembered what buttons to press this time.
Dude, speaking of Chuck E. Cheese's, my girlfriend and I went on a date the other night to a bowling place. Like it wasn't a bowling, it's like bowling and pizza, kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese's, but it's not a Chuck E. Cheese's, right? There's just like a fun center type thing, right?
Okay, I got you.
We went there for the video games, is why we went there. The fucking thing was, though, dude, the only game we really wanted to play was this, like, you sit down and shoot lasers. It's a Jurassic Park game, and you're just fucking shooting lasers at dinosaurs the whole time. The same two fucking kids were in there for like an hour. I shit you not. I've never been so angry at someone not wanting to like give up their video game and know that like if I were to say anything to them, I might go to jail.
Sorry, I didn't hear a single word after shooting lasers at dinosaurs.
Dude, and that's what pissed me off is like the game is set so you sit down, it's like you're sitting in the back of a Jeep, right? And you're getting chased by dinosaurs and you're just shooting at them and you try to stun them so then they can capture them, take them back or whatever. And so like there's this big like window so people on the outside can watch the game. And we must have sat there for fucking 30 minutes just watching these kids shoot and play, and you could tell one of them's way better than the other, and you're just like, kid, fucking give it up. You suck at this game. Let someone else play. Jesus Christ. So infuriating.
Well, yeah, because every time they bail out early of the game, then it puts the whole thing on pause until they'll let one person stay engaged. And
yeah.
You get to join. Player 2 has joined.
Yeah. And to make it worse,
did they have like a row of tokens up too?
This is the part this is the coup de grace, man. You charge a fucking card and then you swipe the card and that's your quarter. So there's no way you could put up quarters in line. They've got unlimited credits to just sit there and play.
Well, then if you got a popular game, you got to have a check-in system
right?
of some kind. But then again, if they just get to swipe the card, it's not like, they've got to consider the tokens they have or what have you. They can just keep continuing.
I don't know. I guess their parents love them a lot more than mine love me.
$1 worth of quarters. That was it. That fuck all if you're gonna get anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Or in my case, it was go on and play. You can play them without a quarter. You can just go and play. And so here I am wiggling the joystick, thinking that I'm controlling the demo.
Until some older kid, you then have to get embarrassed because some older kid kicks your ass out of the game because you're not playing, and they don't even realize they're not only destroying your world because they're taking away the game, but they've now introduced you to the cold harsh truth, Trent. You haven't been playing the game.
Yeah.
You've just been sitting there like a retard.
I've had zero effect on the game, and those motherfucking kids just rub it in even further.
They just stole your world right there and then.
And I'd like to think that, 25 some odd years later that things have changed, but those two little fuckers prove that nothing's changed at all.